He entered the world so small that doctors doubted he would live. Bill Shoemaker later became the measuring stick for American jockeys in the 20th century. Under 5 feet and under 100 pounds, he rode with quiet hands and perfect timing in crowded fields and tight turns. When he retired, he had 8,833 wins. The horses he guided had earned more than $123 million. He also captured 11 victories across the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and the Belmont Stakes. How does a man that small control a thoroughbred at full speed and turn inches into history? The answer starts before he ever touched a saddle. Bill Shoemaker was born in Fabens, Texas in 1931. He arrived far too early and weighed less than 2 pounds by some accounts, so fragile that doctors doubted he would survive. His family fought for warmth and time. A well-known story says he was kept close to heat in a shoebox, a detail that later fit his nickname, the Shoe. His parents separated, and when he was around 10, he moved to California with his father. There, horses were not a hobby. They were work. He mucked stalls, carried feed, and learned to read a horse through its ears, its breathing, and its balance. He spent dawns at the rail watching workouts, learning that winning starts with patience, then one clean move late. By his mid-teens, he could gallop in the morning and keep his weight steady. Trainers noticed the calm kid who never wasted motion. The next step was the races. In mid-century racing, size still shaped reputation. A jockey was expected to be light, but also strong enough to keep a high-strung thoroughbred focused when the pace got hot and the pack got tight. Shoemaker looked like the wrong answer. Under 5 feet, he was the kind of rider people assumed would be pushed around, lose position, or panic in traffic. He did the opposite. He learned that control did not come from force. It came from balance, steady hands, and the ability to time one move so cleanly that the horse never wasted a stride. He rode quiet early, saved ground whenever he could, and asked for speed only when the horse was ready to give it. Trainers started to notice something unusual. The smaller he looked, the calmer his horses ran. That calm became his advantage, and it carried him from routine mounts to chances that could change a career. He turned professional as a teenager, and the calendar matters. On March 19, 1949, Bill Shoemaker rode his first race. A month later, on April 20, 1949, he won for the first time aboard Shafter 5 at Golden Gate Fields. It was not a loud arrival. He did not sell a story. He let the work speak. Riders survived on chances, and chances went to people trainers trusted. Shoemaker earned that trust by staying composed, keeping a straight course, and never wasting a horse's energy. In the mornings, he listened, watched, and learned how each trainer wanted a mount to relax and finish. He also learned the hard routine of making weight without losing strength. Soon, barns that had ignored the small kid started asking for him because he rode like pressure was normal every day, and he kept winning quietly. By 1953, Shoemaker was not just a promising rider, he was a machine of consistency. That year, he won 485 races, a number so extreme it stood as a record for about 2 decades. Think about what that means. Week after week, track after track, different horses, different paces, different trouble, and he still found a way to put his mount in the right place at the right time. He did it with patience early and precision late, saving ground when it mattered and asking for run only when the horse had it. In a sport ruled by timing, he turned timing into an identity, and the bigger stages started to open. Then, a colt from California stepped into Shoemaker's path and changed the scale of his career. His name was Swaps, a thoroughbred built for speed, power, and long rhythm. He came from a world that felt different from the polished eastern circuits. Swaps was the pride of the West, trained hard, raced often, and treated like an outsider by people who believed the best horses had to come from the East. On paper, the resume looked bold. In his career, he made 25 starts, with 19 wins, 2 second-place finishes, and 2 third-place finishes. He earned $848,900, and in 1956, he would be named Horse of the Year. But none of that mattered yet. What mattered was the moment when West versus East became a real test, not a slogan. The Kentucky Derby was coming, and the other side had a star too, Nashua, the Eastern champion with a national reputation. For Shoemaker, this was more than one mount. It was a chance to ride a horse that could silence a continent. The next race would decide whether swaps belonged and whether the small rider could own the biggest stage. On Derby Day, the noise was bigger than the track. It was a national argument dressed as a race, West against East, swagger against tradition. When the gate opened, Shoemaker did not ask swaps for everything at once. He wanted a clean break, a steady line, and a rhythm that could last. Swaps left sharply and settled, not fighting the reins, not wasting energy. Down the backstretch, Shoemaker kept him in a spot where he could breathe, close enough to see targets, far enough to avoid getting boxed in. The pace tightened and the field began to bunch. This is where small riders get swallowed. Shoemaker stayed patient and saved ground, letting others spend their horse early. Around the far turn, he shifted his weight, kept his hands quiet, and began to let swaps lengthen his stride. No panic, no flailing, just a clear signal and a straight course. Turning for home, swaps answered. The colt surged into the stretch and carried that long, powerful run past the pressure. In the final furlong, the argument ended. Swaps won the Kentucky Derby, and Shoemaker won his first Derby with him. In one afternoon, the smallest rider on the grounds proved he could control a thoroughbred at full speed. The victory did not just crown a champion, it announced a partnership. And it told the sport that greatness could come from the West, and from a man who looked too small to matter. The Derby win was only the beginning. In 1956, Swaps stopped being a regional hero and became a national reference point for speed. He set a world mark at 1 mile in 1 minute and 33 and 1/5 seconds. He set another at 1 mile and 1/16 in 1 minute and 39 seconds. At 9 furlongs, 1 mile and 1/8, he matched the world mark in 1 minute and 46 and 4/5 seconds. Then he carried that pace to 1 mile and 5/8 in 2 minutes and 38 and 1/5 seconds. Shoemaker rode with the same calm hands, letting the colt relax early and lengthen late. During that season, Rex Ellsworth sold half of Swaps for $1 million, then sold the remaining half for another $1 million. It was a headline price that showed how rare this talent was. Then, in October, training went wrong. Swaps fractured a cannon bone, the long bone above the hoof, and his racing career ended. The rise was swift, the ending sudden, and Shoemaker had to keep climbing without the partner who launched him. 2 years after Swaps, Shoemaker met the cruelest lesson in racing. The Kentucky Derby of 1957 put him on Gallant Man, a brilliant colt with the finish to win. Shoemaker placed him perfectly and turned for home with daylight. Then, near the 1/16th pole, he mistook the marker for the finish line. He rose in the irons a fraction early and eased his drive. That fraction was enough. Gallant Man lost momentum. An iron Liège surged past to steal the Derby by a head. In an instant, a master of timing was punished by timing. Shoemaker did not hide from it. He carried the mistake for years, then answered the only way a jockey can, by riding the next race with the same calm and by letting the record grow louder than one misread post for everyone. After Swaps, Bill Shoemaker did not fade. He multiplied. Year after year, he kept showing up in the winner's circle with different barns, different horses, and different race shapes. He could rate a horse, meaning he kept the early pace under control, then asked for speed only when it mattered. He saved ground along the rail, slipped through traffic, and never wasted a stride. In September of 1970, he won his 6,033rd race and passed Johnny Longden for the all-time record. That was not a milestone. It was a new ceiling for the profession. By the time he retired, the count had grown to 8,833 wins. He led North America in earnings 10 times and in wins 5 times, a rare feat. Across the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness Stakes, and the Belmont Stakes, he earned 11 victories. The horses he guided earned more than $123 million in purses. One small rider became the standard, not by one miracle afternoon, but by decades of perfect decisions under pressure at full speed. Most champions peak young. Shoemaker peaked again, when many riders are long retired. In 1986, at age 54, he climbed aboard Ferdinand for the Kentucky Derby. The plan was simple to say and hard to execute. Save ground, meaning stay close to the rail so the horse runs the shortest path. Settle early, meaning let Ferdinand breathe instead of fighting for the lead. Then, when the field tightened, wait for a gap that lasts only seconds. Shoemaker rode like he was reading the race 2 strides ahead. He kept Ferdinand covered, slid inside, and asked for run only when the colt was balanced. In the stretch, the move looked effortless, but it was built on patience and nerve. Ferdinand won, and Shoemaker became the oldest jockey to win the Derby. People remembered the mistake from 1957. He answered with a ride so clean that even rivals called it the lesson in restraint. The next year, the partnership delivered again at the Breeders' Cup Classic, the sport's richest end of season stage. 1 rider, 1 horse, 2 late career statements. The small man who was once doubted turned time itself into an opponent he could beat. In April of 1991, a car crash broke Shoemaker's neck and left him paralyzed. Racing took the one thing that had always saved him: movement. He refused to disappear. From a wheelchair, he kept showing up at the barn, learning how to train by voice, by routine, and by trust. He had spent a lifetime asking horses for one clean move at the right moment. Now he asked the same of himself. He died in October of 2003, but his legacy never needed a finish line. The shoe proved that greatness in horse racing is not built on size or noise. It is built on balance, patience, and courage inside a crowded field. Swaps gave him the first Derby that turned belief into fact. Decades later, Ferdinand showed the world he could still win with the lightest touch. If one story defines him, it is this: too small to live, yet big enough to define a century for everyone watching.